Last week, WallStreetBets showed the world the power of individual investors. All of these people buying shares of the struggling GameStop company, forcing the price to jump more than 1,000% at one point. That caused massive losses for the evil hedge fund short sellers and made some small investors a lot of money. It also triggered brokerages like Robinhood to limit their customers' ability to buy GameStop and a bunch of other stocks. That didn't go over well. The WallStreetBets crowd has several new targets in their sights, including one that the brokerages have a little less ability to control. Silver. Of course, the widely distributed post in favor of the silver trade was removed by WallStreetBets and their mods. Some on Reddit are saying that the silver trade goes against what WallStreetBets is all about and that pumping silver prices would actually benefit the big hedge funds. They claimed that a silver rally was misinformation put out by those hedge funds themselves. Regardless, in the past 3 trading days, a slew of individual investors have pushed the price of silver up more than 15%. We talked about it on Thursday, and today on Dumb Money, we're going to reveal our $2 million bet on silver.
This is Dumb Money Live with Chris Camillo, Dave Hansen, and Jordan McLean, streaming live on YouTube. We are Dumb Money.
Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan. We are Dumb Money. This is Dumb Money Live. Welcome to the show. Happy Monday. If you haven't already, now is the perfect time to use those diamond hands to hit the like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps us. It helps people find this video. Today, we are going to reveal our $2 million bet on silver. Chris, Jordan, the $2 million silver trade. That's a lot of silver, and I can tell you that I am still diamond hands on my GameStop, but I am not in the silver trade. And I was talking to Jordan before the show. He is not in silver. So, Chris, that means you have a giant silver position.
I'm out.
What did you do? What did you buy? How's it doing?
What else is new? Well, you know my plan for 2021. I announced last week I want to make $5 million off WallStreetBets. And as of today, I have cleared the $2 million mark. This is separate from the silver. I cleared the $2 million mark. Dave, I just put in a transfer request this morning to transfer whatever I have left in GameStop to my charitable foundation. The second that goes through, I think I'm going to sell the last of my GameStop. It's about $250,000, $300,000 gain on that last bit, and I'll be well over $2 million. So I have another almost $3 million to go. So that's where silver comes in, okay?
You're looking for the next big thing. It was pumped up on Wednesday, Thursday. We talked about it. Did you do this right after our show or during the show on Thursday?
Yeah. I bought this all last week. I had a part of that buy was silver SLV call options that expired on Friday. And what I did was I made a decision. Unlike the mistake I made a few weeks ago where I accidentally didn't sell those SPY calls and they converted to like $44 million of SPY on Saturday morning that could have literally bankrupted me if the market would have crashed on Monday. This time, I purposely did not exercise my SLV calls. I did not sell them on Friday, and so I let them exercise over the weekend, and I have between SLV and AG roughly $2 million between the two. And I want to tell you why, but listen, if you're watching this episode, here's what I want to deliver to you, guys. And this is, I hope this is fair. It's going to take a few minutes of time. I have spent so much time the last 5 days just re-educating myself on the world of silver, because it was my first investment at age like 13. I bought the 100-ounce silver bar. I knew all about silver, probably more than any kid has ever known in the history of mankind at age 13. I haven't really thought about it much since then, right? So I really I read the book, the Hunt's book back then as a kid. I had to re-educate myself on everything. So what I would love to do is take people. Everybody right now is investing in silver, but no one really knows anything about the bullion market, how it works, how leverage works, how the banks fit into it. Can it actually be squeezed? To what extent is it actually shorted? How does this all end? What are the scenarios that we should be running right now for silver? Okay, because that's what we do. We're not financial advisors. Do not do what we do. What we are social arb advisors. We run scenarios, we detect change, we connect the dots to investable opportunities, and we buy at the point of information imbalance, and we sell at the point of information parity. That's what this channel is all about, right, guys? So I want to run those scenarios, but before you can run the scenarios, you have to understand this world because it's not just like investing in stocks, okay? Can we just start talking a little bit? I don't know.
I want you to give us a little history lesson, give us a lesson on what you learned this weekend or relearned about the silver market. And I will give you the big box so that you can just go for it.
Okay, I want to start with the Hunt brothers because this is such a cool story. I did read that book back in the late 80s. It was 1979. Part of the reason why I read the book was because one of the Hunts, you know that big house on Preston Road in Arcady at the end of my street?
Yep.
That's where they lived. They lived on my street. Like the guy, the Hunt brothers, the billionaire Hunt brothers, they lived on my street. That's going to make me sound like a really rich, spoiled kid. But we lived on the smallest house on the street. You remember, Dave? We lived by the highway, right? So we weren't in like a crazy house, but we did live in a very affluent neighborhood.
It's an affluent neighborhood, but there are like different pockets of the neighborhood that are more affluent than others, and your block happened to be a high-end block, but you lived near the like you say, near the highway, and so every block had different like levels of wealth.
Yeah, so listen, it was a nice, comfortable life, but we weren't billionaires is all I'm saying, right? The billionaires lived at the other end of the block. Anyway, what's so fascinating about this story is we had an inflationary time back then, and the Hunt brothers thought that there was tremendous unlocked value in silver. So they were going to go out as billionaires and leverage the Hunt name to corner the silver market. And they thought this would be the ultimate scheme to, turn the billionaire family into what, deca-billionaire family? I don't know why they cared so much, but they did. Okay, so they went out and started buying up silver bullion. Literally all around the world, they would buy silver bullion, and they did it all on leverage. Why? Because they had such a good name. They were able to borrow at interest rates lower than virtually anyone else in the world. They were able to get more credit extended to them than virtually anyone else in the world. On top of that, they actually shared this story with other big investors around the world that were also hoarding silver because they knew that, hey, it wasn't just about them doing it. The more people that did this, the more it would work in their favor. And by the time they were done, guys, gosh, I think they had it was some insane amount it was like a third of the world's silver supply. It was such an insane amount.
Well, they borrowed like $3 or $4 billion, didn't they?
It was, a big chunk of the world's silver market. Guys, it was they were literally buying physical silver and warehousing it.
Basically, it's a story of the rich getting richer by using and leveraging all of their wealth to then buy this asset. It'd be like if today Elon Musk were to jump in and start buying all the Bitcoin that exists, right?
Which could happen. It might be happening right now. There's a lot of theories that might be happening right now. Okay, so here's the interesting part. And here's the part I want you to listen really careful to, because we're going to talk about I'm going to take it all the way to present day in a minute. But the U.S. government got hold of what was happening, right? And what's fascinating is they just put an end to it because they don't like people manipulating commodities that could theoretically take down the banking system. So guess what they did? They actually, just out of the blue, because they can pretty much do whatever they want, and that's something to remember. This is all the way back in 1979, guys. We're complaining about Robinhood right now and all that. This is back in 79. The U.S. government said, you know what? We are no longer going to allow long contracts on silver, only short contracts. You know what else we're going to do? We're no longer going to allow leverage, okay, on any of this stuff. So they call it Silver Thursday. It only took about a day at the point when it all went bust for silver that climbed all the way to $50 a share to completely, devastatingly crash back down. And then they got prosecuted by the SEC for trying to corner and manipulate the silver market. They ended up having X amount of time to unwind all their silver positions, which they eventually did. It took years to do. So after that, silver basically went into a bear market that's pretty much lasted until today. And the thing that you'll hear a lot of people in the silver world talk about is that silver historically should be pegged about 16 to 1 with gold. So gold should be trading at about 16 times what silver's trading at. But for the past decade, it's not been anywhere near that. Like silver has been suppressed. And there is even some theories, in fact, the Hunts thought that silver should trade at 5 to 1, okay? A lot of the silver bugs out there will tell you silver should trade at 10 to 1, okay? So this is just part of the story. Now, I want to get into the next part of the story, which is about leverage and shorting and silver supply, because you're here, if you're on Reddit and you're on WallStreetBets or you're on any of these message boards, you're going to see all kinds of noise. And the noise is there's not enough silver bullion, there's not enough metal to back up the contracts. It's a conspiracy. There's been these conspiracy theories that have been going on for 20 some odd years about silver. There being not enough silver to back up all the derivative contracts and the future contracts that are traded globally on silver. So if you're able to buy half of the silver or even a third of the silver, that all the people with these contracts would have no way to fulfill those contracts, and you could essentially squeeze the market regardless of whether or not the silver is being shorted. So Jordan, we had a conversation yesterday, and you were right. Like, there's only a 4% short position or 6% in the silver market.
Yeah,
but it's not about the short
but
position.
It's not even these financial institutions. Some of it might be right, but a lot of it is actually because producers need to lock in price, and so they can, short a contract. They've locked in their price in the future, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So at the end of the day, every commodity, and this is what people don't understand, and we're going to explain it to you right now. Every commodity is simply based on supply, real supply, and real demand. Now, what happens is there are years when the supply is well above demand. There are years when the demand is well above the supply, and that's when the capital markets come in to fix that with future contracts, and the volatility in those underlying prices could fluctuate greatly when those things happen. But that's why the investment industry basically takes care of that with the reserves. Okay, the reserves become worth more when there's more demand and supply. We're using more silver that year than we made that year in silver, and the reverse happens. So here's a thing that no one gets. It is completely natural and organic to have more silver paper than silver metal. That's the way it is with every commodity. It's not a big, the only reason why we hear about conspiracy theories with silver is because of a bunch of whack job silver bugs out there, right? And
well, the other
bugs,
thing is that, so for instance, JP Morgan will short silver, right? And so people see this and they think that they're being manipulative. And in certain cases, I think they've been proven too, but a lot of it's kind of innocent because they'll take the opposite side of a speculation, right? And so that's kind of how they operate because they're part of the commodities market.
They are just, listen, they are seeing supply and demand shifts and trading it as need be.
Right.
But Jordan, every single commodity has more paper than commodity.
It's
That's
like
actually
10 to
not
1
a
or so.
conspiracy. Now, so that said, let's just get that out there right now, guys. That is normal. That's not a conspiracy. But yes, you can because of that. If you were to corner all the world's oil, or all the world's gold, or in this case, silver, it doesn't matter what it is, copper, it doesn't matter what it is. If you were to do that because of that difference, that gap between the amount of paper on the commodity and the commodity itself, usually it's next to impossible to corner a commodity. But in the case of silver, you have this harebrained thing that started in '79 with the Hunts that's now in everyone's mind for the past 40 years that it can potentially maybe happen. And yes, if you were to do it, and the government allowed you to do it, you would actually create absolute economic chaos in that market. Chaos beyond anything you could ever imagine, because the banks and everyone that's involved with that industry sector in terms of writing paper and accepting paper would have no way to fulfill those contracts. The same thing that we're seeing right now with Robinhood, where we have clearinghouses, all the other brokers, to where if they need to have 98% of that stock paid for when you make a trade for it, and you're trading that stock not once, but 6 times a day, every time you trade it, it's still a 2-day clearing window. So you might have traded $100,000 of Robinhood, but they need $580,000 of cash for the 100, because it takes 2 days for all those trades to clear. So it starts compounding. That's what's been going on the last week. That's why these brokers have to shut down these stocks, right? Now, if you had a small enough division of your client set in those stocks, like the big brokers, Schwab, right? And you have enough money in your balance sheet, like Schwab does and Fidelity does, it's not a problem for you. But when you're a Robinhood and 60% of the people that are in your account base are trading GameStop, and you're a startup and you don't have an extra $10 billion of credit laying around like Schwab and Fidelity do, it's a problem. Okay, that's how it happened. And that's now we actually understand what happened. Now, I have a big beef with Vlad with the way he handled it, and I still don't think he's being as transparent
Well, I
as
mean,
he
look,
could.
if he would have come out and just explained it in that initial CNBC interview, I think the backlash would have been a lot smaller, right? It's still a major problem that you can't, like, you sign up for a platform and you can't use it for what you're trying to use it for, but at least you can have transparency with your customers.
Yes, and I still have a question. I'll say at the end of this episode, I have the ultimate question for Vlad. The ultimate question that no one's willing to ask him. No one's willing to do it because no one has the balls to do it. It's the question I want to ask him. I'll save it for later. But here, let's get back to silver, guys. JP Morgan. You mentioned JP Morgan, Jordan. So JP
I want to
Morgan.
hear more about your conspiracy theory specifically related to JP Morgan. It's
Okay,
not your
ready?
theory.
Here it is, Dave.
It is
Here it
a
is. Here it
theory
is.
that you have basically summarized.
Yes.
Let's
So
hear
here it is. The JP Morgan situation is really fascinating because I sent you guys, I don't know if you had time to listen to it, but I sent you an interview with the former head of the CFTC, that basically it's the Commodities Future Trading Commission. It's like the SEC for commodities. And it's an amazing interview because over like almost a decade-long period, what was happening was JP Morgan was actually basically spoofing trades in the silver market to control it. Basically, they would put out a trade like they're willing to pay this much for the silver, and the second you try to sell it, they pull the trade back. Or if they want silver to go down, they're going to say that they want to sell a ton of silver at this price. But if anyone actually wanted to buy it, they'd kind of pull the rug. They're just using these phantom trades to manipulate the market. Now, here's what's so interesting. They spent years investigating JP Morgan, years. And at the end of the day, they had so much circumstantial evidence of the fraud, but they were missing a few critical pieces of evidence, and they actually postponed the trial yet another year to pick up that extra evidence because they were hiring outside consultancies to help them with the forensics. Now, when they couldn't find the evidence they wanted to have just a complete lock seal case, because the way the government works, the government really wants to have a lock seal case. Otherwise, you know what they do, Dave? They just want to settle, right? They just want to settle. So when they realized that their case wasn't completely locked, they decided to let JP Morgan out of it with a $960 million settlement, basically $1 billion settlement, and they had to agree to unwind massive amounts of their positions and to abide by new rules. And here's the best part, guys, that I think people, again, plays into what's happening right now. Right after that happened, the head of the Commodities Future Trading Commission was so upset that he had spent years trying to give it to JP Morgan and couldn't take it to trial, that he actually changed the rules for anti-manipulation and anti-fraud in the commodities market. He basically lowered the bar. He lowered the bar, so even if you don't have the intent of cornering the market, even if they can't prove it, basically if you're doing anything that is, that they deem to be, fishy or weird or just out of sorts, they can come and bust you and shut you down. So they are more powerful, way more powerful today than they were in 1979. Why am I telling you that? Because in the event that this whole silver short squeeze, rush, call it Wall Street bet trade, whatever it is, right? In the event that this continues to build over the next few days and the next few weeks, even theoretically, and I want to talk about that in a minute too. If that happens, there is a point that they will 100% shut it down. They've done it before. There's precedent there. They've lowered the bar so they can do it again without even thinking about it. They will remove all leverage. They will just remove the ability to buy long contracts on silver. Do you know what they're not going to remove? Just like 79, they will never remove the ability to short it. So they're going to say you can't long it, you can't buy long contracts, but you can short it. They will do whatever it takes to ensure that 10-to-1 paper to metal, they're going to
Stays
make
in
sure
balance
that you're
so that
never going to
they're-
get to a point where the JP Morgan is having to deliver, right? Or anyone else. They don't want governments don't want
Yeah,
banking
they
systems to
can't
fail.
remove the ability to short because that's what these miners need to be able to lock in a future price, right? What they remove is the speculation.
So, Chris, you're basically saying that this whole thing is now stacked against the ability for anyone to be able to manipulate and squeeze or push the.
No, I'm
artificially
saying,
push
Dave,
the
it has a
price of
ceiling.
silver.
All I'm saying is this has a ceiling, and the ceiling here is actually more defined, I believe, than the ceiling with equity prices, because it's kind of difficult to completely shut down. They can shut down GameStop if they want, but I think that would generate more noise than if they were to shut down contracts and do all kinds of weird stuff in the commodities market and leverage. So there is
what
a
is that ceiling?
here.
We're already up in the past. What? Let's look at a 5-day chart if I can share it with you guys.
You can push the price up all you want. The issue is if it gets to a point where people are out there actually purchasing and demanding deliveries of silver, and even the ETFs have to do that. If it gets so ridiculous, I mean, silver's at like what? The SLV's at like 27 today. If it were to get to 150 or something crazy, I would imagine now you're looking at a situation to where they're having to basically purchase bullion to represent that new pricing, and it will get extremely difficult. I think things will start to happen at the regulatory level.
So we saw the price of silver get up right around $30 per ounce earlier today. It's down to $28 right now. If you look at SLV, the basically the ETF of silver, it is at 26. If we look at the percentage there, it is in the past 5 days, it is up 13%. It's been as high as 18%. So you think we're not in the risk of the government getting involved and saying we're shutting this down?
I want to read you
yet.
the line just so everyone understands what I'm saying. Ready for this? This is the new line they put in with DodFrank. It preserves the commission's existing authority to prohibit the manipulation of prices. Now get ready for this. Even in the absence of fraud. So it doesn't matter whether fraud exists. Prior to that, they had to kind of look for fraud, even in the absence of fraud. Now, adds a special provision for manipulation by false reporting, including exception to good faith mistakes. And so they really have a noose on this market if they want to pull it. That makes me what that means to me is that there's a point when I'm going to be, if this silver thing were to move, I'm not going to be in it forever, right? Like I'm not going to be the same way that we saw GameStop and all these stocks get hit last night when brokers started basically capping how many shares you can buy. We'll see something similar. So that doesn't mean I'm not buying silver. In fact, the reason why I'm buying silver, and then we talked about this last week. Listen, we aired an episode on silver, I think before anyone else did in this space. All right, like we were so ahead of this trend. We saw it coming. The same way I saw AMC coming before anyone was kind of talking about AMC, and I did that insane $1 million and something trade on AMC. Now, here's the thing. It's not about Wall Street Bets. And the thing that bothers me most is there's so much conversation going around about, well, Wall Street Bets. Wall Street Bets starts it. They started it. And they started the silver train here too, right? Like you saw that post.
And SLV is not even in the top 10 tickers that I'm seeing in Wall Street Bets right now at all. So.
No,
because
they
they
want to
basically
close
stopped
it down.
They're no longer pushing that as an agenda of the official Wall Street Bets community, but it has continued to have legs outside of Wall Street Bets.
You know why, Dave? Boomers, tons of boomers get the silver thing.
Oh,
they were around in 79, right? This is
but Reddit is basically saying, well, if silver goes up, it's only going to hurt. I mean, it's only going to help these hedge funds that we hate. Citadel has so much silver that if it goes up, we don't even think that was our idea to begin with. We think that someone infiltrated our Wall Street Bets and put that idea out there, and it is all to try to benefit the hedge funds.
Yes, but here's the thing. Boomers don't care. You know who else really doesn't care? And do not undercount how big this force is, right, guys? the gold and silver bugs, the metal bugs. What we're talking about. So guys, so for any of y'all that are fascinated by Bitcoiners, I mean, the crypto guys, right? And we know him. Leon's one of them. He's in our community, right? They live and die crypto and Bitcoin. I mean, they will take it to the grave, man. This is bigger than life for them. So let me explain something. That's not a new idea. We had those same people when we were growing up. They were the guys pushing gold and silver, right?
I think
and
you're
they
about to make a lot of
stopped.
people mad, Chris.
Listen, but understand the underlying narrative behind crypto. A lot of it is fiat money, right? So like some of the same. Now I know we have decentralization to some extent with the crypto narrative, but the fiat money narrative is the same narrative that has propelled gold and silver bugs for decades. And we're not talking about a few thousand people. There are hundreds of thousands to millions of hardcore metal bugs around the world, and they are looking for a reason. Give me a reason. They've been waiting for this day, guys, since 1979. They've been waiting for 41 years. They've been waiting for the next someone to corner the silver market. And this is so great because it's not someone, it's like everybody. It's like, look, if they could organize the world to like buy, because there's so many conspiracy theories, all the ones we talked about. Now I poked holes in them, but no one's poking holes in them on the silver forums and the gold forums the past 30.
No, they've been waiting for this. They've been wanting someone to talk about their precious silver or gold or whatever, just because they've been hoarding and trying to have their, just like you buying your gold bar when you were 13 years old.
Silver bar. I couldn't afford gold.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, gold bar.
And by the way, silver was like, Dave, silver was like, my memory, it's like $4.60 something cents when I did it. So the 100-ounce bar was like $463. I don't know.
Do you remember on our original channel, Dumb Money, when you wanted to try to cash in on silver by getting rolls of coins and finding the ones that are actually made out of silver and trying to automate the whole method of, well, we'll just get a whole bunch of these half dollars. Some of them, very small percentage, will be actually silver. We're gonna get some system. We're gonna like scientifically be able to sort them really quickly. Then have the, I guess, money trucks.
I like how the video said zero downside risk, except for getting robbed. That is the
Well, yeah. So just to explain the zero downside risk, it was because we were purchasing U.S. currency, pulling the silver out, and then returning it back to the government, right? That's what these guys do. So there's no risk involved. Like, even if you don't get any silver, you still get all your money back. That's where that came from. Guys, listen, I know I'm not talking bad about silver and gold bugs. I don't care. Maybe they're right. It doesn't even matter to me. All I'm saying is that they exist. And the boomers understand this. So this is not something that once it started inside of WallStreetBets, that WallStreetBets can just put the kibosh on. Okay, they can't do it. It's already out there now. Who do you think are these people around the world this weekend that went into all these little bullion stores, silver bullion, gold, metal bullion stores and bought silver? Do you think it was all WallStreetBetters? No, it was all the people that
hearing the news story and jumping onto it, thinking, hey, if this is going to happen, I just saw what happened to the whole GameStop thing. If this is the next one, I want to be a part of it.
And you know what, guys? So many people have been contacting me the last week. We should call him right now. Can we call him right now?
This dude, the Dallas Rare Coins. So we went to this place to try to figure out, what the value of these coins would be if we could find them.
Okay. I'm going to see if he answers. Hold on. What was his name? Do you remember his name? Closed today? How are they closed?
Are they closed every day? Have you heard of the pandemic?
I'm pretty sure you have to make an appointment to go meet with this guy.
Yeah.
All right, Dallas Gold and Silver Exchange. Let's see if they answer here.
Thank you for calling Dallas Gold and Silver Exchange.
It's a weird way to answer your
Please
phone.
hold for the next
It's a
available
robot.
agent.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna take the volume down, guys.
Dallas Gold and Silver Exchange.
Yes, hi. I'm looking to buy some silver. Do you guys have any in stock I can
And you're on
buy right now?
speakerphone with a bunch of your friends.
Yes, we have silver rounds. They're
Oh, I'm on speakerphone with a bunch of my friends. Sorry, we're all trying to buy silver right now, so you're with them too. Are there, so you have silver rounds? So you do have inventory in stock?
Yes,
Okay, how much inventory, like how much silver could I buy if I were to come in today?
You can buy up to, 500,000, a million, however much you want, but you would have to wait till we get the order.
Oh, so you don't have it in stock today, basically.
Well, we have some, but we don't, if you're wanting a large order, you would have to order it, but you can order it and you lock in at today's price.
Okay, gotcha. Because have things been nuts this weekend? Have people been coming in, like buying what's there, essentially, since all this silver
Pardon
stuff
me, say
started?
that again?
How has demand looked the last few days? Have there been more people coming in for silver?
Oh, yeah, everybody and their brother.
But you're not worried about running out of silver? Like there's no shortage right now of being able to deliver the silver if I buy it today?
I don't think so. Let me go see how many weeks out, okay? Hold
Okay,
on.
thank you. Appreciate it.
How many weeks out are we on the silver delivery?
So this is the largest gold and silver exchange, I think, in Texas that I just called, I believe.
Round 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks out to get the silver delivered to me. Okay, and what is it normally? Is it normally about that, or is it?
No, it's normally, within the week, but everybody in, the whole country's buying up the silver, so.
Gotcha. Okay, have you guys ever seen? When's the last time you saw demand like this for silver? Has this ever happened before?
Oh, yeah, remember it was what year was it that it went to $50? Was that 10 years ago? Yeah, 10 years ago it went up to $50.
That was when Warren Buffett, I think, invested in silver, and everyone kind of went after it. I believe is what happened. 2011. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your help. You've been very nice. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye. So that is Dallas Gold and Silver Exchange, and that was the last time. Maybe it got up to $50. Maybe that was it in 2011. I don't know if you guys remember, but Warren Buffett made a gigantic purchase of silver back then, and that kind of drove the whole silver world nuts for a small period of time. So anyway, guys, I will tell you why I'm invested in silver. Ready?
That was back in 2011. It looks like it got to around $45. And then the only other giant spike we saw was way back here, and that was 1980, and that was the Hunt
Yep.
thing.
So we
And
kind
now
of
this
know
new
that
one-
we're. So we
new one's
kind
a
of
Wall
know
Street
that
bet.
we're safe. We're kind of safe up to that level, right? We're safe up to that level without having to really have too much fear about the government coming in and doing anything insane, which gives us a lot of room to go. I am invested in this because, for me, it's not about Wall Street bets. For me, it's about expansion of the narrative. That's what the AMC bet was about. That's what the GameStop bet was about. Now that I saw AMC and GameStop kind of retracting, meaning the narrative kind of starting to flatten out, meaning its ability to reach new people is flattening out. I know I'm not saying that they can't still do a massive squeeze on those stocks. They absolutely could.
You're such a paper hands.
Listen, you know what I'm doing with the money that I make goes into my foundation to help kids with leukemia and diseases, okay? So like for me, I'm social arbing trading behavior right now, okay? And I'm doing it for something that I really believe in. So I'm not here for I'm not gonna be the last man standing if GameStop goes to 1,000 or back to 30, okay, 20 or 30. I have my own mission. My own mission is to do insanely good things for the world in the way that I think is reasonable. So that's where my head's at. Everybody has their own reason for trading. By the way, I have nothing against people that are going to hold GameStop forever. I have nothing against them. They have their mission. They believe in it. They think they're doing the right thing. Good for them. That's them. This is me, okay? So I'm doing this, guys, because I think the expansion of the narrative for silver has legs. I saw it expanding into Friday. This weekend, it continued to expand. This morning, this after, as right before this show, I still saw an expansion. That doesn't mean the silver price isn't going to fluctuate, but I still think there's probably more of a chance than less that we'll see expansion day over day of the investor base, meaning people that are hearing about the story, interested in the story, and maybe considering investing in the narrative, in the story. So it's not a foolproof investing methodology, but that's the one I'm sticking with, okay? So if I start to see that flatten out, one of the tools that I use, I hate trading financial buzz, by the way, because what do we do? We trade non-financial buzz, and then we connect that buzz to investable assets. That's what gives us our edge. Anybody can trade financial buzz. It's so easy. I'm on StockTwits, basically looking at the trending tickers. You can type in a ticker on StockTwits, then you actually change the graph view from stock price to message volume, and you could see how much the message volume is up or down that particular day. In fact, Dave, I want to send you a screenshot right now, because I just did this. Hold on, I'm going to send it to you right this second, Dave. I just did this before today's episode because I'm constantly pulling it. So I just sent you a screenshot. I'm continuing to monitor that level of social conversation, not on WallStreetBets. Jordan's doing that, right? What Jordan is doing on WallStreetBets is trying to surface new opportunities. If there's new things that are bubbling up, we're monitoring it. I'm trying to monitor investor conversation after it leaves WallStreetBets, okay? So you'll see there that conversation as of an hour ago, still, I think that's a day over day, the way they measure in stock. I'll have to talk to Howard or Rishi, the CEO of StockTwits, and make sure that I'm correct in that assumption. But it's up 87%. Which is, Dave, you guys, you remember we've been checking this all week. It was at 60 some odd percent yesterday and 50% on Saturday. I think it was 30% on Friday. So the number keeps ticking up. And you see that graph right there?
It's still going up.
The line. Now, if you check up GameStop though, Dave, you do GME. If you look at GME and just literally just type in GME on StockTwits, here, I actually have it right here. You'll see that it was leveling off today. So that's, again, it is going to level off. At its peak so high, the level of social conversation of GameStop is still more than 10 times what it is for SLV, okay, on StockTwits. So it's going to level off. But it's one of the data sources that I'm monitoring every hour on the hour, day and night, okay? Because I want to get a sense of, is the buzz building in the investor community? The other data source I'm monitoring is just non-Wall Street news. How many articles are being published on CNN? Dave, I want to know, you watch it, you're my Today Show source.
Yes.
Has the Today Show talked about the silver story yet?
Today Show has been talking about GameStop pretty much every day for the last 3 or 4 days. Today was the story that they actually interviewed some investors in GameStop, all of which had made money, including a young kid who was given 10 shares of GameStop for Christmas a couple years ago or something and held on to it. And he turned $60 into $3,000 and decided to sell. They did, at the end of today's story, tag on, the little reporter stand-up at the end, they did talk about how the next thing seems to be silver. So yes, it has been mentioned on the Today Show, so it is fully there.
So that's tomorrow's story. Tomorrow's story is probably silver. So like you can see the information cycle. And by the way, when the small period of time that I had my hedge fund social arbitrage, social information arbitrage, one of the graphs that we had in our presentation deck for our investors was the cycle of information as it kind of bubbles up off radar, off financial, and then it finally gets to the financial news, and then it hits, and then it kind of broadens out. So you just have to track, and this is kind of reverse, right? Because this is starting from financial channels and then expanding outside of financial channels. Yeah. But there's a certain point when it reaches saturation, and then you have to ask yourself, what kind of legs does this thing have? I'll probably be out of this trade when we start to plateau in terms of conversational volume, an expansion of the broadening base of people following the narrative.
And I'm staying away from it. This is not the trade for me. This is where I would rather be. Basically, if you think of the metal market in general, I would rather be in crypto, right? That's my alternate investment class. If you think of Gold is your Bitcoin, and silver is your Ethereum. I'd rather be in the crypto world.
I have no issues with crypto. I'm in it. In fact, I'm in it heavier than I've ever been in between my new investments that we'll talk about on another show that are well outside of the public markets in crypto. But I agree with you, Dave. I think this is all setting up really nicely for crypto this year, don't you think? Because essentially, I'll keep going back to the dopamine hits. The dopamine hits, once they start hitting, you want them to continue. And I think these stories coming off of WallStreetBets, once they start to contract and people lose interest, you have to move to more of a blue sky story. And what do we mean by blue sky? The stories that work really well here are stories that you can't disprove. And right now, Bitcoin is a story that you just can't disprove that right now. EV is a story you really can't disprove right now, right? So like those are the stories that I think match
but that's what the messages on WallStreetBets are all saying, that don't listen to this mainstream media all of a sudden trying to change the story, because that's all underlying all of those stories are the hedge funds, big money people. The reason that you're hearing about silver is because of hedge funds. The reason you're hearing about all of the other stories is they're trying to distract us from being diamond hands. They're thinking that if they can force the price of GameStop back down a little bit, that everyone's going to sell and it's going to continue to make it go down. So
that's so not true.
Once you start going down that rabbit hole on the internet, there's just
you know what's so funny? This stuff is so not complicated. GameStop happened, AMC happened, a few others happened. Everyone's looking for the next one. Silver now comes up, something that all the boomers understand. You already have a built-in market of millions of people that have been dreaming for another excuse to go crazy with silver. It's been 10 years, okay, and been 30 since something really exciting happened. So it's not, look, guys, it's not that difficult to understand why these stories are blowing up. Most people who are investing in GameStop right now and AMC, this is a guarantee, and silver do not have a crusade, right? There's people on WallStreetBets that have a crusade, and there's some people off of WallStreetBets that have a crusade. But 95% of the people investing right now, because I'm getting the phone calls, I'm fielding the texts and the phone calls all day long from regular people in my world. You know what they want? They want to make money. That's why they're doing this. They literally don't give a damn about hedge funds, taking down hedge funds. Like, they don't care. They just
want to be involved in it because they want to profit from it. They want to be on the right side of whatever trade is going down. They want to know what you're doing.
Oh, speaking of being on the right side of the trade that's going down, I'm dying to know, how did the Build-A-Bear trade work out, Chris?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, here's the thing, Jordan. I'm going to look it up right now because I haven't looked at it since I did it. But whenever I tweet something like that, that's a small stock. It was by the way, it was a very small trade. It was a fun one. I feel like this ethical duty to not sell for a while, right? Because if I'm going to tweet something about a stock that's small, I'm not selling. I don't know. There's some I think the SEC has some thing back. This has nothing to do with people like us, but for fun, you have to hold it for some period of time. So I'm not selling for at least a week. I don't care if I lose all my money on it. I'm just not selling it. So
Chris is long Build-A-Bear.
No, it was a joke. I said, wouldn't this be the most adorable?
You paid money.
I did. I said, wouldn't this be the most adorable short squeeze of all time? Now, are you asking me because you know what it's at? Are you going to tell me?
I have no idea. I looked at it.
Let me look. BBW,
it looks like
right?
You're probably losing money.
Oh, it's down 56 cents. Yeah, I'm down a solid 10% on that Build-A-Bear. I'm down 4 digits on that thing right now. So, but I'm not. Like I said, I'm not selling Build-A-Bear. I'll sell it maybe next week. Guys, some people are asking here, and I do want to address this. Some people are like, so why is mainstream media saying that silver is trending or going crazy on Reddit? As if it's some conspiracy that mainstream media is trying to pump this. So, guys, mainstream media doesn't know the difference between Reddit and stock twits.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Finance people on Twitter, they
No.
just like they spend 5 minutes looking at something. They look for a hook of a story. They try to grab attention.
They
All
Googled
they care
Wall
about is
Street
eyeballs.
Bets and they saw that the word silver was coming up in some of the search returns, and they were like, "Oh, there's our next story."
No,
That's
some intern wrote the story, and so they're just literally like they read it and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
the Wall Street Bets trade.
Believe me, there's no conspiracy going on at on the Today Show or CNN. Like they don't care. They just want to get content out there. And by the way, the silver story did originate on Wall Street Bets, and it got pulled. It was trending hard. That one article, silver will go. When we first did our episode last week, it was silver to $1,000, the biggest short squeeze the world has ever seen. They literally, that was on there for days, and they just pulled it. And I'm not going to say
and the
why
ones
they
now
pulled
that are trending say there's no silver short squeeze, none, never, and like a bunch of upvotes on another one that says complete lies, stay away from silver right now. So I think that basically Wall Street Bets has lost control of their community, and they're fracturing off into various splinter
Well, we know. I mean,
groups.
just the number of eyeballs that have been attracted to Wall Street Bets because of the success of this one trade, or handful of trades, right? It's drawn a bunch of eyeballs, and so it's a bunch of different.
By the way, Jordan, speaking of that trade, can we talk about deep effing value? That guy, I watch a bunch of his videos, and let me just say this. While my methodology for investing is very different than his, what an awesome guy. Like this guy, I just love watching his videos. He is so sincere. He is so transparent.
He is. I love that he starts off that one video that I was watching, and he was like, "Hey, I've been wrong before," and then he just continues to go and say, "This is what I think. This is my thesis." And
listen. I'm not on board totally with his way of thinking, but man, he is such a cool guy, dude. I love.
He did a tremendous amount of work on this stock too.
He did. He's a different kind of. He's a value investor, but he's a different kind of value. I mean, he uses the word value very differently than other value investors. Listen, good for him, man. I sent him a DM. I had to try. I want to get him on the show. I think he's gonna be doing the rounds. MGM is doing a movie now on the whole GameStop deal.
I heard we're gonna get Vlad to play him. Is that true?
They look starting new rumors.
Like.
But let me just show you that when I Googled just Wall Street Bets, the first 3 news stories that come up talk about the rights to the Wall Street Bets GameStop movie already been sold. From CNET, Yahoo Finance says Citadel Silver Holding exposes rifts in Wall Street Bets Army. And the third story, CNN, silver surges as Reddit Army targets precious metals 4 hours ago. That should have been the headline 3 days ago when that was the target. But then the narrative on Wall Street Bets has now changed, and CNN's still reporting it as Reddit Army targets precious metals.
Because
that's how
CNN.
the Today Show got their headlines, and that's the whole thing is just if it gets reported once, it's just going to snowball, and every news outlet has to report the same weird version of the story that has slight variations.
Yeah. So listen, at the end of the day, there are channels and there are people in this world that have, a crusade against Wall Street, anti-establishment. Good for them or not, right? That's fine. But we have a crusade on this channel. I have a crusade. My crusade is to build $1 billion foundation for pediatric causes. That's my crusade. And it's a freaking crusade, okay? And that's mine. So I am going to trade every day of my life until I can hit that $1 billion number, and then beyond, okay? So if that means that Citadel makes a few pennies off my trades, I don't care. Dude, if you guys think you're gonna take Citadel down like this, I mean, it's, like I said, they don't just own silver, they own everything, guys. They're the undercurrent of the entire stock market. So if you want to screw Citadel by screwing yourself, never trade again. Close your trading account and don't invest in the stock market. That's how you screw Citadel. Do you understand that, people? If you want to screw Citadel, never invest again. Are you willing to do
You're
that?
screwing yourself. Yeah. Well, like, can you think of a worse thing to do than never trade on the stock market? That's terrible.
Because no matter what you do in the stock market, they're winning. They're winning, okay? Now, I will say this. Perhaps at some point there is a decentralized blockchain way to trade, okay? And that will completely revolutionize the kind of, the investment industry, the back end mechanics, right?
Eventually, you know that trade plus 2 clearing of trades will go away, and it will actually have some sort of technology that is capable of giving us real-time closing, so that your funds can actually be reused as soon as you get out of one position, whether it's blockchain or something else. That's just legacy. That's just because everything used to be paper, and it used to be trade plus 2. And then they got they got a computer, and now it's it used to be trade plus 3. They got a computer, and now it's trade plus 2. It's going to get just real-time trading. It has to happen at some point.
By the way, Dave, on that $1 billion goal, if every day just keeps going like today, I'm up 1.14 million today. I will hit that goal in 2.5 years. So we'll see. 2.5 more years of today.
If only you could keep the market just in total flux between just giant crashes last year and weird.
2.5 years. Just 2.5 more years of today, and I'm there.
Need more people to just go crazy and constantly buy random things that don't deserve to be bought and short things, and just
listen,
here's
love
my
it
silver
all.
investment, by the way. I just saw this over here. This is pure silver.
What is that?
Is
that something that your fancy designer got for you when you built your house?
No. This is actually something that one of the crypto guys that was over at my house when we were doing that Pokemon transaction. He told me about this. It's a collectible cause. The artist basically designed the Moon Man for MTV. He redesigned the award. Well, he also did this version, which is a Moon Man with his signature, dude that, the little double X thing, that he actually sent one of these up into space and had like a webcam attached to it. And so he told me about this. It's they're selling on StockX. I bought one for myself for Christmas.
Hey, Dave, someone here wants us to talk about, Patrick Wheeler wants to talk about AG, which is the big silver miner, and their short interest. So this is a miner. So guys, my trade is mostly in SLV and then partially in AG. Those are my two silver trades. What is interesting here is that, yes, the miner, they do have a pretty, I think that's like a 30%, 25 to 30% short interest, I think. So if silver continues to get these legs and goes up to these next levels, that could be a trade that pays off exponentially well relative to silver itself. In fact, there was a miner, guys, of a stock that was trading, that I saw trending on StockTwits this morning, that was up 100% this morning, one of the smaller miners. So it literally doubled. I think it was THCB doubled this morning. INAQ was a Chama tweet this morning. That's a whole nother day. It's a whole nother story. But that's my silver trade, guys. That's it. Do you, I mean, like I said, we're not financial advisors. Don't listen to this. I want you to understand. And by the way, this whole thing about PSLV being a better ticker, it's coming up here in the chat, than SLV. I'm not sure I agree with that. The only difference between SLV and PSLV, so you guys understand, is that PSLV essentially has to have, I think, a 1-to-1 ratio of, I believe, I could be wrong, of silver bullion to paper that they're trading, where SLV doesn't have to have a 1-to-1 ratio. But I don't think in the grand scheme of things that makes that big of a difference, because SLV still has, according to the way that their fund docs are written, they still do have a bullion requirement that has to move in lockstep with the price of the ETF.
And you can see that over the past 5 days, they've basically been trading right in the same range with each other. PSLV slightly ahead, but just over the past month. Not much of a difference.
By the way, I love the move in silver today, but do you know what I really love, guys? And I know you know, right?
I love the move in all of my core holdings, like Amazon.
Yeah. Oh, I love.
I could care less about what's going on in silver right now. I'm just glad that the real stocks have finally woken up and started coming back.
Yes, I have. For those of y'all that haven't been following the show, I have $7 million of Amazon going into earnings. So I would like a really nice showing. I think that's tomorrow. Could be wrong. It might be. I think it's tomorrow. So SoFi, that SoFi trade we did was it Friday or Thursday? We did an episode on it. That's looking good so far. And again, for those of y'all that missed our SoFi trade, the thesis was not that SoFi is going to take over Robinhood. It's not that SoFi is going to be successful. It's that the market is looking for an alternative. They're looking for a blue sky company that has a narrative that can take over Robinhood. I don't think they ever will, but SoFi, because of their relationship with Chamath, they are the narrative. They have the story. So our thesis was that people are going to take out their anger on Robinhood by investing in, was it IPOE, I think? Is that what SoFi is? By investing in the SoFi SPAC, okay? Even though Howard Lindzen, our good friend, I could tell he's getting frustrated right now because he's getting beat up pretty hard on Twitter, and he came out and he's posting articles and some information that basically says, listen, SoFi does all the same things that people hate about Robinhood. He's ripping on Robinhood for selling their information to market makers, payment for order flow, that they don't have good ethics. SoFi does exactly the same thing. In fact, if you look at
my whole thing with SoFi, and that's why I did not buy that one. I bought Schwab instead because I thought with SoFi that if they had the same volume of transactions coming in for these handful of tickers, then they would have met the same DTCC requirements, right? And so there's no difference between the two because they're so small, but the Schwab could actually benefit because since they're so big, they don't run into the same requirements, right?
And now you have to get. Did you see the Public news this morning? Public's a company we've been working with.
We're no longer doing that payment for order flow, which I'm not sure exactly where they're clearing. Yeah.
Well, do you really think that Public is even trading enough to be making money that way? Like Public, I think, has a different business model to where
I don't know what their business model is.
I don't know what their business model is either, but I don't think they're ever planning on doing so much volume in terms of active traders that's going to be a real revenue stream for them. I think, what I think the Public model is, guys? I think they're just trying to build their base up by having a really cool social front, which is super cool, by the way, to eventually just sell based on how many accounts they have. They'll sell to an Ameritrade or to a Robinhood or to someone else, right? So I think a lot of the game for the smaller brokers is about accounts. Each account has a value associated with them. It doesn't matter if you're losing money or making money. If you're going to sell your company in the next 5 years to one of the top 5 brokers, Fidelity, Schwab, E-Trade, or Robinhood, if you're going to sell your company could be bleeding money or making killer money. It doesn't matter. They're going to value you based on one thing. How many accounts do you have? How much money is in each account? Because they have a way to monetize it. So, I think it's a really smart move for Public.
No, I mean, that makes perfect sense because then they can be the good guy while they're independent and they just sell out to the man in 5 years.
Yep. Yeah, Acorn's doing really well too, by the way. People are talking about that. I saw that. Acorn is getting an insane... I saw the numbers last night when I was in that clubhouse. We were talking about the Acorn numbers, and it was like 600 accounts a minute. It was something ridiculous that they were getting over the past few days. Quite honestly, everyone's winning, guys. And guess who is the #1 app in the entire world right now? Not in finance. After all of this, the #1 downloaded app, based on recency, because the way the App Store works is it's highly focused on recency of app downloads. It's Robinhood. Could you believe that, guys? After all of this, Robinhood is the number...
I saw that Robinhood has signed up just in the past week. During all of this turmoil, Robinhood has signed up substantially more customers than any of the other apps. I was trying to find the exact number, but Barron's is reporting Robinhood added over 1 million accounts during the GameStop turmoil. And then CNBC's headline says Robinhood appears to be benefiting from the trading controversy, seeing record app downloads. They're showing just in that from downloads, Robinhood is like substantially higher. Coinbase, Webull, TD, Fidelity, all the others kind of come in a distant second. Let me pull that up.
Shoot, I got a call from my guy at Ameritrade. I'm trying to transfer that GameStop over to, I think there's an issue with the transfer, which is really upsetting because I want to sell my GameStop. I told you that, but I can't sell it until it gets transferred into the foundation because the gains on it are just insane.
Yeah.
It's like $250,000 gain. I don't want to pay taxes. I want to put it in the foundation so they can get all the money, not the post-tax money. So I got to get off here in a minute so I can call him back. But what else, guys? I mean, this is it, dude. Silver is our trade right now. By the let's
trade.
talk about
Your
flowers.
trade only. I'm not in it.
No, let's talk, guys. We did not. Our flowers trade happened, and they killed earnings, slaughtered earnings. The stock, 1-800-Flowers. For those of y'all that haven't been following us, we did a huge show on 1-800-Flowers, on the gift basket business, on Harry and David. I was so proud of our community. The stock jumped to $37 a share. I think we got in that trade at about 27, I think. Jumped to 37. I sold out. I had really good timing on this one, guys. I think I sold out at about 35 right after earnings. And I wouldn't have even known earnings hit. Thank you again, community. One of y'all tweeted at me or messaged me and was like, Chris, look at flowers. I was like, yes, they did it. They did it. And I saw that and I sold my stock. And then that day it came right back. There was
it's been going down
so
ever
many
since.
short-term traders.
Yeah.
That was my concern, is that like, regardless of how well they do, the confidence that they'll continue that business post-pandemic was not going to be high. There's a lot of traders like us that were trading the quarter, but not necessarily wanting to be in 1-800-Flowers for the next year.
Yeah,
2 years.
and because of gift baskets and the holidays and people not going to stores and people just sending things. Yeah.
So that was not our trade. That was the community trade. So, congrats to everyone in the Dumb Money. By the way, Dumb Money Discord, there it is. Also, dumbmoney.tv has all the links to all of our Twitters and our Discord and the whole 9 yards. So just go to dumbmoney.tv is a real easy way to remember if you want to get to all of our stuff. But congrats, Discord. I have not been in Discord for a few days because I've been doing nothing but reading about silver for the past 72 hours. And then listening to Elon grill Vlad last night. I mean, do you realize I was on that Clubhouse, left it because I was so tired. I was like, I got to get some sleep for tomorrow morning. People from the community start pinging me, DMing me, they're like, oh, he's got Vlad on. I'm like, get out of it. I get out of bed at like 12:30, 1 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, actually, excuse me. Get out of bed, go listen to it again, and it was a pretty good interview, but there was one question, and I'm going to put it to Vlad now.
You need to basically tell us what your one question is, because I didn't see it. I fell asleep before the whole thing even started, because starting at midnight our time, 1 a.m. in the East.
No way.
And then it was a long conversation that happened.
Elon did a great job. He did a great job, and it's not his fault because this is not his world. He's not really thinking about it. But here's the thing. We all knew, I've been saying this whole time it was a liquidity issue at Robinhood. It's exactly what it was. It came out last night again with Elon. Robinhood had a call from the SEC. They basically had to deposit $3.5 billion, and then they talked it down to like some $850 million, and then they had to raise another $1 billion. I knew this is all happening. This is exactly what I said was happening, okay? But here's the thing, guys. So now they're still restricting trades because they raised $1 billion, and $1 billion allowed them to open up these stocks a little bit more, but not enough. As far as I'm concerned, your broker, your number one promise to me is to allow me to trade unrestricted all the stocks that I could trade through other similar brokers, Ameritrade, Schwab, E-Trade, Fidelity, okay? Now, if there's a situation that nobody can do this, then I can understand it. But don't you dare tell me that my friend can trade this at his broker, but I can't because you don't have enough liquidity, when I know for a fact that if they want to raise $5 billion this weekend instead of $1 billion, they could have done it. If they want to raise $10 billion instead of $1 billion, they could have done it. He didn't want to do it because he didn't want to dilute
himself. Exactly.
at
That's a personal decision.
Well, I mean, is it a personal decision? I mean, look, so they have to run models on all this stuff to be able to figure out what their reserves need to be, right? And I'm sure that there's some odds and some statistics with those models. And so they figured out what kind of where they wanted to be and have.
No, Jordan, he figured out that where he wanted to be was still restricting stock trading, because that's exactly what happened after he raised the money.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is,
they need to.
You're talking about that next raise, the $1 billion round.
No, the $1 billion raise.
I agree there. So at the $1 billion, he should have said we need more. I agree with that.
Here's what happened, guys.
Originally coming into this thing, I don't think they could have foreseen that we were going to have some crazy,
You could. That's what I'm getting at, Jordan. You could actually.
But once it happened, then he needs to say, okay,
It's debatable, Jordan. I think it's debatable. Yes, I would agree with you. You have a good case that before this happened, you could make a case that they should have foreseen it but didn't, and it was an honest mistake, okay? And call it mismanagement, call it whatever you want, but it was an honest mistake. But at the end of the day, they're a startup, right? They're a startup still.
Odds, right? So they'd have to play the odds on all this stuff, right? And so there were certain odds that if certain things happen, I'm sure they've got people working on, what type of requirement numbers they need for certain scenarios, and they've gone through all the math to deal with all this stuff.
But they're valued. They raised money this weekend. What I was told is that they raised money. I got it from a pretty good source. I think it was a $40-ish billion valuation. Okay, this weekend. That's what they raised $1 billion at. Now there was, 30 billion. I think it was 30 or 32 billion. But there was trading that was happening a week prior at closer to 45 billion on the secondary market. So they were raising at a rate that wasn't ideal for them. But okay, I understand that. But here's the thing: they're making a decision this weekend. Do we raise just enough to kind of appease people so that they can kind of trade one share of GameStop on Monday, or 5 shares, or whatever it is?
Yeah. Or do we raise enough to let them just do what they need to do and trade as much as they want, like some other brokers are allowing?
Yes. Robinhood has access to the best capital markets in the world. The people that are backing Robinhood, and we're not talking about us because we are investors in Robinhood, but I'm not giving them $5 billion, okay? But they do have access to that kind of money. And I know that they could have raised $5 billion instead of 1. It would have diluted everybody. It would have diluted all the people at Robinhood, right? Vlad and all of them. He made a decision, and this is my opinion, okay, guys? My opinion is that he made a decision that wasn't the very best for his customers. He was factoring other things, including, I don't want to sell too much of the company at this rate because I can IPO at 60 or 70 billion in 6 months or a year, or whatever it is, right? That's just my opinion. And I don't think it was the right decision. If it was me, I would have said, what do I have to do so that every one of my customers, I can stand up when I speak to Elon tomorrow night and I could say, you know what, it hurt, but we did what had to be done. I raised $5 billion at a really low valuation compared to where we were at a week ago, but I did what I had to do so that on Monday morning, we now have the reserves so that everybody can trade anything they want, right? And I just put the customer first. I really mean that. I would put the customer first. But maybe it's too big of an ask, right? I don't know. But that's me. And that's the question. That's the conversation I want to have with them.
Yeah, and yeah, I totally agree. They should operate in a way that whatever it takes to allow your customers to place the trades that your customers want to place.
But here's the opposite side of that, Chris, is that you're viewing this as the odds of something like this happening have got to be minuscule, right? And so if you're going to over raise for this really small, small percentage event that's going to happen, then you're doing your investors a disservice, right? Unless you look at it as like a PR opportunity. And I mean, there's different ways to look at it.
Oh, well, okay. So Jordan, but you don't you? Sorry, go ahead.
You don't have to raise to where the smallest odds of something happening you have enough money for, right? I mean, you have to be responsible there.
Jordan, I would say that when we saw what happened this week, as of right this moment, this is no more a 1%. It's a 100% chance that you're going to open up on Monday and not let your traders do it, right? So it's no longer a statistical chance.
No. What I'm saying is that they're looking at it as a short-term event, right? They're saying this is going to last for a week, right? And do we want to dilute shareholders based on something that's going to last for a week and then maybe it's going to be gone? We won't ever see something
That's the point I'm making. How do you make a decision, even if it's only a week? it's literally giving your customers the ability to buy stocks. Like that's the only thing they do. Like that literally is what they do. If they can't fulfill that promise to when other brokers are doing it, why would you? That is insane to me. But you know what? You're probably right, Jordan, because at the end of the day, it's not stopping people.
Like any business has to make these types of decisions. I'm not saying that I would ever want to be in that position, right? Because that I want to be able to buy whatever I want to buy when I want to buy it, right? And I feel like that's something that you should offer your customer, is the ability to buy what you want to buy when you want to buy it. But the problem is some of these DTCC, the way that they operate, some of the way that they require you to put this 100% up for every single trade, and the way that some of the regulations kick in when you see volumes spike like they did, put you in a really tough position.
The regulations are putting smaller, less funded brokerages at a disadvantage over the bigger brokerages. Like I was literally just trying to make sure that I knew what I was talking about before I did it. So I randomly put together an order for $2 million worth of GameStop over on my Schwab account. And it does say that, they're having higher than normal call volumes and that they may not be able to answer the phone, but neither Charles Schwab or TD Ameritrade prohibit buying or selling any stocks or basic options. So I mean,
man, like here's the deal, Jordan. What you're saying is totally right. And if I was having this conversation with Vlad, I'd be like, I respect your decision, but let's be transparent that you're putting someone else above your customer right now. Right? Let's be transparent about that.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you could explain it that way. You could say like, hey, this is like a black swan event from the trading scenario, right? Like
I can trade on Schwab. I can trade on E-Trade.
We as a brokerage cannot afford to let you buy these shares.
No.
Because
they
we would
can't
have to
afford.
raise.
They can't afford. They can't.
We
They
would have
don't
to
want.
raise-
They can't afford it
Yes.
if they do a raise, right? But they cannot afford coming into this event.
It would devalue the shares of our company that we internally hold, and we have decided to not devalue our own shares and put you at a disadvantage and not let you trade. That's all they're saying, and they're not being transparent about that. They're not putting it in those simple terms.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, listen, I am over the top transparent with stuff, and that's to a fault. But like, I just think that's how people should operate. And so like, you saw the rant I went on this weekend on Twitter against Jim Cramer with that video. Like the rest of the world might not feel as strongly about that as me, but I don't ever want to like watch CNBC again after watch. I feel that strongly. Like I am so emotionally destroyed by the fact I heard about that video. I've known about it in the past. I saw clips from it in the past, but I never watched the entire video. The smugness, the bragging of cheating, it was the most disgusting thing, quite honestly, I had seen in 30 years in the public markets. I thought it was more disgusting than what I saw with Nikola by a mile. I thought it was the most just egregious thing I've ever seen, and I'm shocked. And people might think I'm crazy. They might think I'm over the top with that, but that's just how I am. That's how we run we don't run our lives like that. Listen, I have been in so many opportunities to take advantage of an insider trade or this, or just doing something that was unethical where someone else would get hurt, but I would win a lot. And I didn't say, well, that's how my industry does it. I'm in an industry where other people cheat, so I'm going to cheat. No, I was a whistleblower early. Dave, I was a whistleblower early on in my career, and I got demoted for it. And it slowed my career down for like years. Okay. But you do the right thing in life. And that's all there is. I don't care. I put the tweets out and I stand behind them.
Yeah. And that clip has been around for a while. I remember seeing it a while back. I feel like he may have even shown a clip of it on his show, or CNBC reported on it at some point.
You can't just watch a clip. You got to watch the whole thing.
It's from 2006, I believe, because he's talking about the next year of 2007 in the video.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Now I'm going to start getting angry again. So we got to
more angry.
Take a breath. We have been on for well over an hour. It might be time for us to say goodbye, but that was we should probably even talk about that. When there's not so many other things going on, we should go back to the video clip from
break it down
a decade ago and break down what he said and why it's just so shocking that he even is still on television. Because in this clip, which was on his little, it was not even a YouTube channel, it was just like a subscription service, that the clip made it to YouTube.
Let me be something. He did not think that anyone would see that. He specifically said in that interview, "I would never
this
say
is not something I would say on television."
Yeah,
That's how he starts the interview.
Yeah,
yeah, and it was, by the way, it was like an insiders industry hedge fund kind of like little show where they talk to each other and stuff. But listen, guys, you do know that before this, it's not like I was the biggest Kramer fan, but he's done a lot of good. He's done a lot of good for the retail investor, just getting people interested in the market, and I've always supported him for that. I might not agree with his "I know about everything" kind of just throwing stuff out there, and I think the way that he communicates things to investors is totally irresponsible, but I also think he's generated some level of excitement. He's done a lot of good the last 15 years, quite honestly, for the retail investor movement. I think it's dated now, but I think he's done good, and I give him a lot of credit for that. But this is something that was eye-opening for me. I just can't let it go.
and we'll have way more to say about that, I'm sure, in a future episode. So if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that. If you have not hit the thumb, you definitely need to hit the thumb on your way out. We are going to wrap this up. Are we doing a show tomorrow? Do we know what we're talking about yet?
I have ideas. We'll discuss.
Ideas tomorrow, right here. So subscribe, and we will see you here tomorrow.